If you think van life is all about freedom and adventure, you're in for a surprise. From unexpected costs to constant stress, this lifestyle isn't for everyone. Here are 11 brutal truths about van life that could change your mind before you even start. Let's get rolling. At first, van life feels like a cozy escape from the chaos. But that charm fades quickly when you realize your living room doubles as your kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. With only 50 to 80 square feet of interior space, smaller than most walk-in closets, the limitations become apparent fast. The confined quarters make basic movements challenging. Stretching out fully might be impossible, and sharing this tiny space with a partner or pet compounds the difficulty. Routine activities like changing clothes or preparing a simple cup of coffee often require an intricate dance around your possessions, turning everyday tasks into logistical puzzles. What begins as a quaint adventure in minimalism can evolve into a psychological challenge. The persistent lack of personal space gradually impacts your mental health. Without room to decompress or maintain personal boundaries, even the most enthusiastic van dwellers may experience frustration and claustrophobia over time. The romance of the open road remains a powerful draw, but prospective van lifers should approach this lifestyle with realistic expectations. While social media showcases perfectly organized van interiors bathed in golden light, the day-to-day reality involves constant organization, compromise, and adaptation to extremely limited space. Before embracing van life, consider how you'll handle these spatial constraints long-term. Some people thrive in compact environments and find freedom in owning less, while others discover they need more physical room than a van can provide. Understanding your personal space requirements is essential before trading your conventional home for life on wheels. One of the biggest shocks of van life? The bathroom situation. Most vans don't come with a real toilet or shower, which means you're constantly hunting for public restrooms, gym showers, or secluded spots in nature. Composting toilets are popular, but they require maintenance, and yes, that includes emptying them by hand. Some van lifers resort to using pee bottles or wag bags for emergencies. Hygiene becomes a strategic game, especially in urban areas. Forget long hot showers, water tanks are limited, and staying fresh on the road often means baby wipes and dry shampoo. It's a humbling, gritty side of van life. The reality of bathroom logistics transforms daily routines into complex planning exercises. Morning coffee becomes a calculated decision when you know public facilities might be an hour away. Many van lifers purchase memberships to national gym chains, creating a network of shower stops along their routes. Others install solar showers that hang from their van doors, providing warmth on sunny days but little privacy. Weather conditions dramatically impact bathroom accessibility. What works during pleasant summer months becomes challenging in freezing temperatures or torrential rain. Urban van lifers develop mental maps of reliable 24-hour establishments with clean restrooms, while those in remote areas become experts at leave-no-trace practices for outdoor bathroom needs. The bathroom situation often becomes the ultimate test of commitment to van life. Some travelers adapt seamlessly, developing systems and routines that make it manageable. Others find the constant search for facilities exhausting and eventually return to conventional living. This aspect of mobile living rarely makes it into the polished Instagram photos, but remains one of the most significant adjustments for anyone embracing life on the road. Living in a van means every cent, good or bad, gets trapped in a tiny enclosed space. Without proper ventilation, the smell of yesterday's cooking, dirty laundry, wet gear, or a portable toilet can quickly turn your home on wheels into a rolling stink bomb. The average van doesn't have the airflow of a house, and moisture from cooking or even breathing can build up fast, leading to musty odors and even mold. Many van lifers rely on roof vents, essential oils, and constant cleaning just to stay ahead of the funk. In van life, controlling odor isn't optional, it's survival. The confined environment amplifies every aromatic challenge in ways apartment dwellers rarely experience. Morning coffee might smell delightful initially, but that same scent lingers in your bedding, clothes, and even hair for days. Activities generating strong smells require strategic planning. Many van lifers cook certain foods only when they can keep doors open or when planning to be away from the van afterward. Seasonal changes introduce unique olfactory obstacles. Summer heat intensifies every smell, while winter's closed windows trap humidity from human respiration. Solutions become elaborate. Some experienced van dwellers design their builds with separate wet and dry zones to isolate potential odor sources. The psychological impact of constant scent management shouldn't be underestimated. What begins as a minor inconvenience can evolve into sensory fatigue. Van lifers often become hyper-aware of smells, developing habits that would seem obsessive elsewhere. Shoes always remain outside, wet items get immediately hung to dry, and cooking ingredients are selected partly for their olfactory footprint. This invisible aspect of mobile living requires adaptation and acceptance that most conventional homes simply don't demand. When you live in a van, weather controls everything. In extreme heat, your van becomes a metal oven. Interior temps can reach over 110 degrees Fahrenheit even with windows cracked. Cold weather? Say goodbye to running water because your pipes and tanks might freeze solid. Insulation helps, but it's never perfect. And when it rains for days, you're trapped in a tiny space, unable to stretch your legs or dry out gear. Solar panels stop charging, mud gets tracked everywhere, and damp clothes never fully dry. Van life forces you to adapt constantly, and sometimes the weather wins, leaving you cold, sweaty, or just plain miserable. Weather dictates your entire daily routine and travel plans. Summer van lifers rise before dawn to cook breakfast, then seek air-conditioned public spaces during peak heat. Winter travelers meticulously track forecasts, sometimes driving hundreds of miles to avoid freezes that could damage water systems. The vehicle-home relationship with weather creates unique hardships. Thunderstorms mean scrambling to close roof vents while water drips onto your bed. Desert winds rock your home violently, making sleep impossible. Humidity seeps into every fabric, while mountain elevations bring temperature drops your heater struggles against. These realities shape the van life experience psychologically. Travelers develop heightened awareness of atmospheric patterns, checking weather apps obsessively. The vulnerability to elements creates both stress and connection to nature's rhythms. Many ultimately migrate seasonally, following temperate conditions in a modern nomadic pattern that acknowledges a truth. In a van, you don't control your environment. You learn to dance with it. Parking anxiety is a daily reality in van life. Every night brings the same question: where can I sleep without getting in trouble? Many cities have cracked down on overnight parking, with signs like no camping or no overnight stays becoming more common. Even in remote areas, you might get a knock from law enforcement or concerned locals. Stealth camping, trying to blend in and avoid attention, can feel like a spy mission, complete with blackout curtains and engine-off arrivals. One wrong spot, and you could wake up to a $200 ticket or a tow truck. It's a constant, nerve-wracking game of hide and sleep. This perpetual search for safe parking creates a unique psychological burden unknown to traditional home dwellers. As evening approaches, mental calculations begin, weighing factors like neighborhood safety, noise levels, proximity to morning destinations, and likelihood of disturbance. Many van lifers maintain secret lists of reliable parking spots shared only through trusted networks, guarding these locations like precious resources. The uncertainty transforms simple rest into a strategic challenge. Some travelers rotate between big box store parking lots, industrial areas, and quiet residential streets to avoid establishing patterns that might trigger complaints. Others invest in campground memberships or apps that list approved overnight locations, trading freedom for peace of mind. This aspect of van life erodes the romantic notion of boundless freedom. Instead, mobility becomes constrained by a patchwork of local regulations and social norms. The constant vigilance required to secure safe, legal rest creates a background stress that accumulates over time. For many, this invisible challenge becomes the deciding factor in whether van life remains sustainable or becomes too mentally taxing to continue. In van life, a mechanical issue isn't just a hassle. It can instantly leave you homeless. A flat tire, blown transmission, or dead battery means you're not just stuck. You're stranded with your entire life inside. Towing a loaded van can cost hundreds of dollars, and many mechanics won't work on custom builds. If repairs take days, you're suddenly looking for motels or sleeping in a mechanic's lot. And if you're off-grid when it happens, help could be hours or days away. For van lifers, vehicle maintenance is more than routine. It's survival. Because when your home breaks down, you break down with it. The convergence of vehicle and dwelling transforms ordinary mechanical problems into potential crises. A leaking roof isn't just an inconvenience, it threatens your bed, electronics, and clothing. Engine troubles don't merely delay travel plans, but compromise your ability to reach essential services like water fill stations or dump sites. This vulnerability requires van dwellers to develop mechanical skills far beyond the average drivers. Many learn basic maintenance tasks through necessity, carrying extensive toolkits and spare parts even when space is at a premium. Some form networks with other van lifers, sharing knowledge and assistance during breakdowns. The psychological impact of this dependence on mechanical reliability runs deep. Many report dreams about breakdowns or obsessive checking of warning lights. Some van lifers structure their entire routes around proximity to trusted mechanics or dealerships. This invisible stress factor rarely appears in glossy social media posts, but fundamentally shapes the van life experience. A constant reminder that freedom on four wheels comes with unique fragility and responsibility. Privacy in van life is nearly non-existent. Whether you're parked in a city, a rest stop, or even a campground, people are always around, and your van's thin walls don't do much to keep eyes or ears out. Without blackout curtains or window coverings, curious onlookers can see straight into your living space. Even simple things like changing clothes or brushing your teeth can feel exposed. And forget late-night noise. Paper-thin walls mean every sound is shared. Van lifers often say it's like living in a mobile fishbowl where strangers can peer in at any time. True solitude? That's a rare luxury on the road. This constant visibility creates a surprising social paradox. While many embrace van life seeking freedom, they instead find themselves hyper-aware of their surroundings and others' proximity. Conversations become whispered, movements calculated, and daily routines shift to accommodate this perpetual semi-public existence. Experienced van dwellers develop elaborate systems to create privacy illusions. Some learn to change clothes while lying down, develop silent nighttime routines, or create internal rooms using tension rods and curtains, ingenious adaptations to reclaim personal space. This transparency fundamentally alters the relationship between inside and outside, public and private. Boundaries most take for granted in conventional homes must be actively constructed in van life. For some, this challenge eventually becomes overwhelming. For others, it reinforces intentional living, a reminder that privacy isn't about walls and doors, but about creating boundaries in even the most exposed circumstances. Van life offers freedom, but that freedom can feel incredibly isolating. Days or even weeks on the road without real face-to-face connection can wear down your mental health. Sure, you'll meet people at campgrounds or on trails, but deep, lasting friendships are hard to maintain when you're always moving. For solo van lifers, the silence can get loud. Studies show that chronic loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Social media helps, but it can't replace true human connection. Van life might look adventurous online, but behind the wheel, it can be one of the loneliest journeys. The nomadic lifestyle creates a paradoxical social experience. While brief encounters with fellow travelers often feel meaningful in the moment, they rarely develop the depth that sustained human relationships require. Many van lifers describe a pattern of continuous introductions without the comfort of being truly known, constantly explaining their lifestyle choices to new acquaintances rather than sharing evolving life chapters with established friends. This transient existence challenges our fundamental social needs as humans. Digital communities offer some respite, with van lifers connecting through apps and forums to share locations and meet up. Yet these connections often remain situational rather than foundational. Some travelers establish regular circuits or seasonal gathering spots precisely to counteract this isolation. The psychological toll manifests in subtle ways: a heightened appreciation for casual conversations with strangers, an unexpected emotional response to familiar faces, or the development of deep bonds with pets who become constant companions. This less photographed aspect of van life demonstrates that human connection remains essential, even for those who've chosen a path of physical independence and geographical freedom. In a van, even the smallest mess feels overwhelming. A single pair of shoes or a dirty dish can take over half your living space. With such tight quarters, often less than 80 square feet, you're always one step away from chaos. Cooking a simple meal means pulling out half your kitchen, and putting it all back becomes a daily chore. The reality, van life means constant cleaning, not because you're obsessive, because it's the only way to stay sane. This perpetual organization battle transforms mundane activities into strategic operations. Making breakfast becomes a choreographed routine. Retrieve the stove, prepare food, clean immediately, store everything perfectly. The sequence must be followed precisely, as any deviation creates a domino effect of disorder throughout your tiny home. Limited storage forces ruthless prioritization. Every item must earn its place through frequent use or essential function. Many van lifers adopt minimalist philosophies not by choice but necessity, developing systems where each possession has an exact storage location. Magnetic strips hold knives, hanging organizers maximize vertical space, and multi-purpose items replace single-function tools. The psychological impact of this spatial constraint becomes significant over time. Some find the discipline liberating, a physical manifestation of simplified living. Others experience increasing stress from the never-ending cycle of organization. This aspect of van life teaches a fundamental lesson about consumption and space. In such confined quarters, you don't just own things. Your things own part of your limited space, attention, and energy. Cooking in a van is more about creativity than convenience. Meal planning becomes a game of what won't spoil quickly, won't stink up your van, and won't use too many dishes. Forget baking cookies or roasting a chicken. Most van lifers stick to one-pot meals, canned goods, and lots of sandwiches. And on cold or rainy days, cooking inside without setting off the carbon monoxide detector? That's another challenge. Food in van life isn't fancy. It's functional, fast, and frugal. The confined cooking environment transforms food preparation into a minimalist art form. Every ingredient must justify its refrigerator space or shelf life. Fresh vegetables become luxury items, carefully selected for versatility across multiple meals. Water conservation dictates cooking methods. Pasta water might later clean dishes, and one-pot recipes reign supreme to minimize washing. Temperature management creates unique challenges unknown in conventional kitchens. Summer cooking generates unwanted heat in an already warm space, while winter meal prep requires ventilation that lets precious warmth escape. Many experienced van lifers develop seasonal cooking patterns, embracing cold meals during hot months and saving elaborate cooking for ideal weather conditions. Storage limitations force culinary adaptations that reshape eating habits. Spices are transferred to tiny containers, cutting boards double as serving plates, and collapsible items replace rigid alternatives. Despite these constraints, some van lifers develop impressive cooking skills, mastering efficient preparation techniques and simple but satisfying recipes. This stripped-down approach to food ultimately reinforces a central van life philosophy, finding contentment not through abundance, but through resourcefulness and simplicity. Van life might seem like the ultimate budget lifestyle, but hidden costs creep in fast. Gas alone can eat up hundreds each month, especially with a heavy van averaging just 10 to 15 miles per gallon. Add in campground fees, insurance, Wi-Fi plans, propane, and the occasional hotel when your van needs work, and you've got a hefty bill. Many van lifers also splurge on gear like solar panels, portable toilets, and battery systems. The truth? Van life can cost just as much, if not more, than traditional living, especially if you're always chasing comfort. This financial misconception stems from overlooking the trade-offs between conventional and mobile living expenses. While van life eliminates rent or mortgage payments, it introduces a host of variable costs. The savings from downsizing can quickly vanish beneath fuel receipts and repair invoices. The economic reality varies dramatically based on lifestyle choices. Stationary van lifers who rarely move can minimize fuel costs, but often pay for consistent campground access. Those constantly traveling face higher transportation expenses, but might save by boondocking on public lands. Either approach requires careful budgeting and financial cushioning for inevitable emergencies. Perhaps most surprising is how quality of life upgrades accumulate. Initial builds often prioritize basics, but experience reveals the value of better insulation, upgraded electrical systems, and comfort items that seemed unnecessary at first. This gradual investment transforms Spartan vans into livable homes, but at a cost rarely calculated in those early Instagram-inspired dreams of carefree, inexpensive wandering. Freedom has a price. The question is, are you willing to pay for the life you want? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next video where we dive even deeper into the raw truth of van life.